Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Mike McDowd. Russell Jackman is still on assignment, that rascal. And at each commercial break, we're going to ask a trivia question. Today's trivia theme is movie trivia. We thought we'd give it a specific title this time. And in the next segment, we've got a surprise guest. I'll give a little intro. Many years ago, when I got into radio back in 2009, Coach Ron Tunick was the co-host on a business show on KNBR, the main station in San Francisco for the San Francisco Giants. And I kind of joined the team, and Coach and I had a relationship. Even though he was in Southern California, I was in Northern California. And we continued kind of ever since, kept in touch, and had him on the sports show a couple of times because that rascal, we call him Coach Ron Tunick, because he knows a lot about college football, and he was coaching baseball many, many years ago. And we'll talk a lot about college football today because it's getting into the exciting season, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, well, listen, I just had a chance to chat with Coach Ron. He was at Cal Lutheran. I don't know what they were called, the Fighting Thunderbirds or something. But before we get to that, you do realize what I'm wearing. I know this is radio, but we have a YouTube audience. I'm adorned in my Christmas. I'm ready for Christmas. As you can see in the background, Santa is ready. We're, 20 days away, and I can't wait for Christmas, man. I love Christmas. What about you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, looking forward to it, even though I don't know where my kids are going to be. They're all over the country now. So in fact, that for Thanksgiving, my wife and I went to a really nice restaurant and brought an elderly friend with us, and it was actually really, really sweet. So this is the first time in years I haven't been with my kids. But anyway, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. When we come right back, we are going to introduce our special guest, Coach Ron Tunick. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown along with Mike McDowd and our special guest, Coach Ron Tunick, who I've known, for 15 years now. Coach knows a lot about the Oregon Ducks specifically. And it's funny because I'm looking at the screen here and I see kind of a green emblem, but it's not Oregon. And it's not the right color, but it is green. Coach Ron Tunick, welcome to Sports Econ 101 again.
Excited to be here, guys. Thank you for having me.
Okay. And if I was just telling the audience that Oregon Ducks, that was kind of your team for a long time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been my team since 1992, and I'm proud of these guys. We're undefeated in regular season. We're going to play Penn State on Saturday. Penn State, believe it or not, is favored by 4.5 points. I don't know whoever made that, but I think the big issue with Oregon versus all the Big Ten schools is our speed. We've got speed that they can't cover. They can't cover our wide receivers. Our defensive team is very fast, and I think it'll be interesting, Edward and Mike, to see if Oregon influences the Big Ten in the next 5 or 6 years with a different kind of athlete.
Let me ask you something that's sort of generic over the whole college football thing. It seems like it's always hard to decide which college football team is the best since there's so many teams and not everybody gets to play each other. And I like the fact that they have a championship game and a little playoff type thing, but and obviously some small school is probably not going to be the best school in the country, but there's so much subjectiveness in this.
Yes, excellent point. I think two things are going to happen, which is interesting to me. One, Stanford just hired Andrew Luck to be the general manager.
Yeah.
So it takes responsibility of the president and the regents away from hiring and firing. So college football is going to look just like the NFL in about 5 years. But to answer your question specifically, when you look at March Madness, you guys, I think we're heading towards a March Madness where we might see a 25-game playoff, which would allow 50 games or 50 schools to be involved in a 25-game playoff. So I think we're headed that way the next 5 to 7 years. So hang on to your hats.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Ron, you just mentioned Stanford hiring Andrew Luck as, quote, the general manager. Well, I got news for you. I've been around the college football game a long time. I've never heard the term general manager in college. So that's an interesting move, a smart move, and I'll tell you why. The last several years, and I'm not going to use any foul language, that's not who I am, but Stanford sucks. They're really bad. They've been they just lost to San Jose State. And
Yeah.
San Jose State is on the move with the coach Ken Malu, the former Navy coach. So
Yeah.
kudos to the Spartans of San Jose State because they had they're bowl eligible with like I said, the ex Navy coach and Ken Mala. What's his last name? Did anybody pronounce it correctly? That's so horrible I can't pronounce it. But you know what I'm talking about. He's a class act. Yeah, I think so. But,
The thing is,
that's a
it's
big.
like, in college, in football, just in general, it seems like there's only so many plays you can have, especially since, Newt Rockne, right? And I mean, it's got to be the players, I mean, coaches do make a difference, especially with, figuring out time clock and stuff like that. But, you got to have the talent.
Well, now with the NIL, back in the day, first of all, Cal Lutheran Kingsman, Mike, that was their nickname, the Kingsman. But,
Okay.
Back in the day, if you were got a scholarship to, let's say, Oregon, and you were a 2 or 3 star player, excuse me, you would be patient and wait your 1 or 2 years to get in the starting lineup. Not today. If you're a 3, 4, 5 star player, you don't start. You're going to San Jose State. You're going somewhere else, and so you're going to have parity in the next 3 to 5 years, like we've never seen in college football. You're going to see teams like San Jose State become very, very competitive.
Oh, that's a really good point because you want to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond, and yeah, with the NIL, I mean, some of these guys can actually make some pretty decent money too, can't they?
Well, I can't remember his name, but there's a kid either out of Michigan or Ohio. Listen to this. He's a quarterback. He's a 5-star player. He agreed to go to LSU, but hasn't signed his contract yet. And other schools are offering him. He's 18 years old, $8 to $9 million. Come to our school. We'll give you $8 to $9 million. I think LSU is going to give him $6 million, and he's now on the market for around $8 or $9 million. So the numbers are getting. I know. Wow is right. Yeah, wow is right.
Let me one quick thing before we have to go to our break, because I want to bring this up too. So Mike and I were talking a little bit about this a few days ago. Georgia Tech, 8 overtimes. So I'm thinking, why don't they do like the way the NFL does for overtime? Because 8 overtimes is a little ridiculous.
But the reason they went to that, you guys, is they didn't want the players to be playing another hour and a half and they're already fatigued enough and now experience some kind of a season-ending injury. So I watched that game. That was unusual, 8 overtimes. The all-time record is 9, and they went 8.
Right.
But normally it goes, a couple of times, and 10 minutes later the game's over. So that they just wanted to shorten the time that these kids are on the field.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh no! I mean that game was insane. It was ridiculous, and at one point they have to keep going for 2 points. Quite frankly, Georgia Tech outplayed Georgia, no question about it. They were much more physical. They just simply couldn't get it done. Great teams find a way to win, and that's exactly what happened. And speaking, and we'll come back to it, the football, the starting quarterback at Washington State is making about $300,000 now, which is pretty good for a college quarterback. Right now, nobody recruited him. They only had like 2 schools recruit him. He's actually the highest statistically rated quarterback in college football right now. Now other schools are throwing like $1 million at him, $1.5 million. So now he's pondering. Do I stay? Do I go? To Ron's point, but money's changing the game, and college football will never be the same.
Yeah, because I mean, the old days, you would get in trouble if you offered money or accepted money.
No
Right?
doubt about it. No doubt
Yeah.
about it.
Okay, you guys ready to go to our first trivia question here? Now, it is a reminder, Coach, if you know the answer, don't say anything till we get back from the break. Now, today we're doing movie trivia instead of just general trivia. Okay, who was noted for his cameo walk-ons in his own films? Who?
Repeat
Okay.
that again. Repeat that again.
Okay, who was noted for his cameo walk-ons in his own films? I'll give you a little hint. He's mostly noted as a director, not an actor.
Okay.
Yeah, I figured if I just asked the regular questions the way I did, might be a little bit too confusing. So again, who was noted for his cameo walk-ons in his own films? And I'll give you a little bit of a story about it when we get back, because it is a little interesting. All right. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com the answer to this question. Who was noted for his cameo walk-ons in his own films? All right, stay with us. You are listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We are going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mike McDowd, our special guest, Coach Ron Tunick. Here's our first trivia question, movie trivia. Who was noted for his cameo walk-ons in his own films? Anyone?
Spike Lee.
Spike Lee,
No.
no.
Spike Lee is my answer.
No.
Who's
He was
the
correct,
guy
though.
that who's the guy that did Pulp Fiction?
No,
Is that
Quentin
him?
Tarantino?
Not
No.
Tarantino?
No.
No, but he's known for that. Dang.
Well, okay. Well, we'll give you half credit for that one. That's not the one I was thinking of. Actually, Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, great.
remember
Yeah,
that?
good question.
Here's the excuse me. Here's a little funny backstory. Apparently, they were like missing an actor for something, so he decided to do it. And what ended up happening was people, the next few films, I mean, he would sit in the audience watching his own films just to see people's audio or people's reaction. And they were not paying as much attention to the film as to try to see if they could find Alfred Hitchcock in the movie. So what he ended up doing was in a few films later, he would like come on like in the first scene so that people would go, oh, there he is. And then they'd pay attention to the film. Kind of interesting, you know?
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Mike.
By the way, that quarterback was telling us John Mateer at Washington State. He's thrown for 2,707 yards, 26 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. That's pretty impressive. And also, Miller Moss, the starting quarterback at USC, is leaving the Trojans. Go figure. After the Trojans lose to my Fighting Irish, baby.
Yeah, Notre Dame. I remember when I was a kid, we used to watch Notre Dame highlights on Sunday morning from the Saturday games, and I mean, it kind of lost favor, but the Notre Dame's back, huh?
They're back. I mean, there's a resurgence, and Coach Marcus Freeman has done an incredible job up there. And even though he's an Ohio State guy, there is worry that Freeman's going to leave Notre Dame for the Ohio State job because the Ohio State head coach, his head's on the chopping block. And so unless they win a national title, the rumor is that he's gone. But Marcus Freeman's very loyal to Notre Dame. And not only that, he converted to being a Catholic there. And so they love him. They love his energy, but they got to show him the money. Got to show him the money, baby. That's what it's all about.
You know, it's funny. My daughter went to Tulane for her her undergrad, and Tulane was really never known for anything. But then suddenly I'm looking, and in their conference, they're rated like 12th or 14th, and they're going to play Army. The Tulane Angry Waves. It's like,
Right.
whoa. Go. Oh, you okay?
I'm here. So there's another little leaky rumor out there that the kid from Notre Dame, the coach, may go to the Chicago Bears. May be the next
Right.
coach, Chicago Bears.
Yeah,
That quarterback for Notre Dame, Riley Leonard, I think he's going to be a pretty good pro quarterback. You know it. Who's the SC fan? Ed's the SC fan? Or Mike?
Mike
Oh.
Sam.
which guy now? I'm sorry. What was the
Somebody
question?
said they were SC was their team.
No, Notre Dame's my team. SC's
Oh, Notre
starting
Dame.
quarter.
Good for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I
good
mean,
for you.
USC's quarterback is leaving, and so,
Miller
but you know,
Moss. Yeah, Miller Moss
yeah,
is going in the NIL. I don't think he'll get $1 million. He could get a couple $100,000. But the kid that played Saturday, I didn't care for his decision making at all. I mean, they got to find a quarterback SC, or they're going to be at the bottom of the barrel again.
well, I mean, what about Coach? What's his name from Oklahoma? I mean, I call him Coach. What's his name because he is just underperformed. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
Riley.
right, yeah, Coach Riley. You know, I mean, that guy is again. He's on the chopping block. A lot of the big SC alum want to see him gone, and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, listen, you know Southern California. Let me ask you this question. It's very important. Southern California, La La Land, it's Tinseltown. Why in the world can't USC and UCLA be a top level program with all the NIL, all the Hollywood marketing moguls, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, come on, SC is really they've tanked to a new level.
Mike, that is the question that in Southern California people have been asking for the last 25 years. I'll answer the UCLA question. Their administration could care less about football. They're a basketball school. I thought when Chip Kelly went there, they would change everything, but they didn't give him the money. Remember, it's a public university, and they're not going to spend $3, $4, $5 million on a player like SC, which is a private university. But I agree with you. I think the donors and the big money guys at SC aren't going to put up with Riley much longer. He may have one more year, but if he doesn't go and get 9 or 10 wins next year and get in the playoffs, he's gone. You're right. He will be gone. UCLA is another story. I think UCLA, like Cal and other public schools, are really going to be challenged. You know, you guys are smart guys, so I'll call you both professors. Professors at UCLA are making $150,000 to $250,000. Now you're going to go pay an 18-year-old kid $5 million? I don't think that's going to sit well with these professors.
Yeah, but the thing is, the professors are not the ones who are bringing in the extra money, right? It's some kid, and if he brings in extra money from alumni, TV, commercial, you know, whatever, he's worth it. That's why, like, sales is the best. It should be the best paying job, because that's where the income comes from, is the guys making sales. Like, I remember when I used to do a lot of insurance work, there were guys making over $1 million a year selling insurance, and the CEO of the entire insurance company was making, you know, $300,000 a year, because the salesmen are the ones who were making all the money for the company. So same thing here. It's like, you know, but we've talked about this before, that the king and queen of England, you know, way back when, you know, we look and we go, how do these guys get so rich? And, you know, because they don't really have any power anymore. And what do they do for the country? Well, they bring in tourism. So they actually kind of, they earn it just from the standpoint that they bring in a lot more tourists than would be there. You know what I mean?
So that's an excellent point. Yeah, you're spot on. But when you go back to these universities, there still is that undertow of academia that affects the, let's say, the board of directors of the regents of the school. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, you guys, behind the scenes that the public never sees, never hears. So that's why I brought up that statement about the professors. It causes a lot of angst on the campuses. Go ahead.
Okay, so I wonder also, with all the wokeism and anti-Israel stuff that went on, there are a lot of parents who are saying, you know what, you're not going to that school. I mean, like
Yeah,
even
you're right.
now Harvard, you don't really think of in sports, but academia, you do. And it's like if my kids were young enough, let's say, to start going to college, I wouldn't send them to Harvard. I'd be embarrassed to send them there. So I think it's the same
Yeah.
thing. Didn't USC have a big issue with the protests and that sort of thing?
Yeah, yeah. You guys are smarter than you look. I'm telling you. Right on.
That's why we're on radio.
When you look at the future of colleges, you guys, the curriculum has to change. I think your comment about not sending your kid to a certain school is spot on. I think the schools that can send these kids into a culture in which they can make a living is going to be more important. Right now in Southern California, I don't know how it is in Northern California, you've got master's degree kids waiting on tables at restaurants. They can't find the jobs because they haven't been, how do I want to put this? I don't want to get into politics, but they just haven't been educated about the real world. Let me leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Well, then there's a lot more need for plumbers and electricians and carpenters.
Oh, my God.
People with philosophy degrees in underwater basket weaving.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's interesting because skilled trades, these guys come out as apprentices and so forth, make $100,000 out of high school, but yet society looks down upon people like that, which is an absolute joke, a travesty.
Yeah.
I mean, at least the elite do. Okay, so I mean, we all know many of people who are electricians and plumbers and do AC who are extremely bright guys, a lot brighter than me, and kudos to them because they're making some good money.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not brighter than Edward Brown though. In Colorado Springs, you guys, they have all these high schools. They have a science high school. They have a high school if you want to go into the construction. I'm telling you, Colorado Springs is so far ahead of the rest of the country. It is amazing. If your kid wants to go into the construction industry, there's a high school that'll do that. There's also a high school that is a military high school. They have all these different programs here. It's unbelievable.
Wow, that's great. Hey guys, let's go to our next commercial break here. Here we go. We're running out of time. Okay. This one, again, another movie question. This one's, I think, a little easier. Who played the monster in the 1931 film Frankenstein?
Oh, boy.
All right. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Mike McDowell and our special guest, Coach Ron Tunick. All right, our second movie trivia question. Who played the monster in the 1931 film Frankenstein? Anyone?
Oh, that's easy. I got that one. John Wayne. That's easy.
You got that one?
John Wayne.
Going with
I was
John
going to say,
Wayne.
Wait, seriously? Is that your question? That's your answer?
Yeah.
No.
I'm going with I'm going to go with Babe Ruth.
Come on, guys. Boris Karloff.
Who?
Boris Karloff.
Hey,
Oh, Boris. Jeez.
Boris, yeah. Didn't he also
Mike
do,
and I could care less.
Okay, the next question, I promise you, will be even easier. And you guys better get this one. Okay. But we'll ask it at the next trivia question here. All right. So, guys, how about a little pro football? What's going on?
How about this? I'm Ron doesn't know this, but I'm in the Jacksonville, Florida area, land of the sunshine and freedom, by the way. We live in a free state here. So Trevor Lawrence got his butt kicked against the Texans on Sunday. He was really hit with a vicious blow to the head. Texas linebacker Aziz Al-Shari, whatever the heck his name is, was absolutely came in with a forearm to the helmet in the face as Trevor Lawrence was sliding. It was one of the big cheap shots of the NFL season, and as a result, Ashir is out for 3 games, and I don't know, man. That it's a vicious, rough sport, but that was one of the things that stood out, especially in this area. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was a big topic of conversation around the NFL.
Mike, don't be a wussy boy. Come on, football.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with.
It's a violent sport. I played it in high school and college. It's a violent sport. I actually watched that game, saw that hit, and I'm not defending him, but he started his defensive maneuver as Trevor was sliding. It was just one of those odd things. It was horrible, and I think Trevor Lawrence, you guys, for me, is one of the big disappointments. I followed him at Clemson. I loved everything he did. He's been a bust in the NFL, and I don't know why. Is it Jacksonville? You guys tell me why Trevor Lawrence has been a bust for the last 5-6 years. Disappointing.
Well,
Team around him, right?
I mean, you got to have players, you got to have receivers, you got to have an offensive line. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence, I don't really see him throwing the long ball very well. He can go short routes pretty quickly. The other thing, and I'm just going to say it because he ruined our team, my team, the 49ers, is their general manager, Trent Baalke. He's the worst. Get him out of Jacksonville. I mean, he's ruined this team. He of course, players play the game. Let's face it, it's a players' league. Okay, you got to have great players. Coaches coach, but it's a players' league. It's the same deal with college football. Players play the game. But Ron, to your point, Trevor Lawrence has been a big disappointment. At the same time, what is around him is not very good right now, and it's a struggling team. They may be vying for a number 1 draft pick. We'll see. But Jaguars are not good. So that's the bottom line. There's some other teams that are not very good either right now. One of them happens to be from the West Coast to the city by the bay called Santa Clara, the 49ers. They're having a rough year. They were horrible against the Buffalo Bills the other night in the snow, but it was quite a game to see in the snow.
What the hell happened? I've been a 49ers fan most of my life. I am so, what word do I want to say? Frustrated. They have so much talent. I thought Brock Purdy, I wanted to adopt him as a son. Oh my God, Mike Edward, I'm so frustrated with the Niners. Is Shanahan overrated?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, obviously can't control players getting hurt, but some of these calls I've seen, to me, it's just ridiculous.
Well,
and I think Debo just you can tell he don't like playing in the snow. I mean, nobody does, but you can tell he was very tentative. These guys, they gotta have the right equipment, cleats, etc. Go ahead, Mike.
No, Edward, and the knock on Kyle Shanahan is he's doing too much. He's calling the plays, and perhaps the conversation is that maybe he should just call plays and let somebody else kind of But he's the overall manager, and for whatever reason, that skill set doesn't seem to be his strength. And look at some of the games, especially the big games, the Super Bowls, where the 49ers have blown it, especially in Atlanta and other things. But Kyle Shanahan he's got talent, but right now he's on the hot seat. Christian McCaffrey is out, some of the great players, but this is a team that is struggling, and I don't know, some rebuilding has to come back.
Mason's out too. You got 2 of the running backs out. You got a kid coming off the taxi squad that's going to start on Sunday. The Niners have one of the best blocking schemes on the offensive line in the entire NFL. Whoever their offensive line coach does a heck of a job with their blocking.
Yeah. Trent Williams was
their losing record is so frustrating to me. I think when you look at the Rams, the conference that they play in, I think the Rams have a chance this year to win that conference. And I don't know. There's so much talent that's spread out. The NFL wanted parity. They got it. Is it a week-to-week league? They got it. I don't even know who's the best team in the NFL. My favorite team, the Kansas City Chiefs, are barely hanging on.
Yeah. I don't know. Bills
Okay,
look strong.
okay,
I don't know. Pittsburgh
the-
might kind of. Go ahead.
No, Kansas City, and I'm right now. I'm going to go with Jared Goff, the Detroit Lions. Kansas City and the Lions are the two top teams, in my opinion. I mean, to Ron's point, you look at the NFC West, and you see the Rams are 6-6, the Cardinals are 6-6, the Niners 5-7, and Seattle is 7-5. In my opinion, the West really is one of the weaker divisions. I mean,
Yeah.
although if you look at the South, Atlanta's 6-6, Tampa's 6-6. I mean, that's a pretty bad division there. New Orleans, Carolina.
Nobody wants to win the West. They all want to go on vacation. Nobody wants to win.
Yeah, but the NFC South is a horrible division too. So I mean, right now, who's the best? The NFC. The NFC. I'm going with Detroit Lions. What do you think? I
Okay,
mean,
question to you two Harvard-trained experts: is parity in the NFL? Do you think that how do I want it? Does that help the fan base, or does that frustrate the fan base when everybody is on basically at equal playing field? Parity. What's your thought about that, you guys?
What does parody mean? No, I'm just kidding.
is that a comedy? Is that a movie? A parody?
Listen, I've only had 6 years of high
That's why you
school.
don't want to send that's why you don't want to send your kids to Harvard. You
That's-
guys are too bright.
Yeah. Wait a minute. So your question again on parity is what? That it's two even, or
There's too much parity.
Okay, I'm a sports junkie. I'm a football junkie. I'm a Dodger. If you cut me open, it's Dodger blue. But I don't know. I can't root for 32 football teams.
yeah, but if
Give
you know, in
me-
the old days, when it was like always, almost like with the Yankees and Dodgers back in the 50s, right? I mean, or it was Pittsburgh always had a good team, or Dallas always had a good team in football. I mean, it's kind of nice to get a little closer. I kind of like the idea of it being a little bit more parity, because it makes it really exciting when it gets to the end.
Okay, here's another question for you two giants of intellect. Doesn't parity create mediocrity? Yes, it does.
Yeah. Well, you answered your own question.
Oh, there you go then.
Well, yeah. I mean, if all the teams are 8-8, then I get it. Because somebody has to win, but I don't think it's so even, right? I mean, you got the Lions are way ahead.
Yeah.
And then Kansas City and Buffalo. I mean, you got some major teams in there that aren't equal, right? I mean, their records are much better.
I mean, you look at that NFC North. You got Detroit 11-1, Minnesota 10-2, Green Bay 9-3, and then the Bears the worst at 4-8. So you look at that conference, and then you jump up to the East, and the Eagles are 10-2. So there's some parity there, but also there's some teams that are just elite as well. So I think that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, parity is a beautiful thing, and sometimes, but I think fans like parody. Apparently, Ron doesn't, but that's okay. I don't know.
Well,
I
but
prefer.
parity, like you said, how much parity is there when you have the Lions and Minnesota way ahead of everyone?
Yeah.
Right. And Philadelphia. So
Well, if you invite me back for my annual visit next year, those 5 or 6 teams will be 8-8.
Maybe. I mean, definitely in the West, where you have the Seahawks are 7-5. That's the best team in the West. I mean, that's parity. They're all lousy.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
That's
but
well
when you have
said.
hurt, when you have hurt players, I mean, if the 49ers were not as hurt as they were, I'm sure I got to think their record's got to be a lot better. A lot better. I mean, they have, Purdy was hurt. McCaffrey again is hurt. Ayuk is out for the whole season. I can't believe that they paid Lenore so much. He got some monster contract, and I look at this guy. Seems to get beat all the time. I don't get it. Fred Warner, yeah, he gets a big contract, but and Bosa's out too. So, I don't know. Maybe start playing the third stringers and see how they do.
Those Bosa brothers, they only play half the year. They're both of them. They're hurt all the time.
Yeah,
I don't get it. They're hurt all the time. You're in Jacksonville, Mike. So your owner, I don't know if he lives in this country. He's Indian. He would love to move Jacksonville to London. What do you think of that move?
oh, I heard about that. Oh,
It's not going to happen because they're building a brand new, $2 billion stadium. So, I mean, he's got his wish. They're going to have one of the best stadiums in the NFL in 2027. So I think Jacksonville is safe. They're not happy with this guy, Shad Khan. I've seen his yacht parked on the St. John's River. It's pretty damn impressive, I got to tell you.
All right, hey guys, we got to go to our last break here. Who starred with Elizabeth Taylor in the movie Cleopatra? All right, that's a little bit of an easier one. And we have a little bit of time. Okay, you ready for our silly joke of the week? So this guy walks past a pet shop and sees a sign that says "Talking Dog, $5." So yeah, I got to look at this thing. So he goes in there. He says, "Well, you get this dog for $5 that talks?" I don't believe it. He says, "No, here he is." And the dog starts talking. He says, "Yeah, last week I climbed Kilimanjaro, and next week I'm going to the Antarctic to play with the penguins, and then I think I'll fly over to Hawaii and do some surfing." And the guy says, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Why is this dog only $5? He goes, because he's such a liar. He never did any of that stuff." All right, stay with us. You're listening to 101. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with some closing. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mike McDowd and our special guest, Coach Ron Tunick. Question number 3, who starred with Elizabeth Taylor in the movie Cleopatra? Come on.
That's an easy one. I've got this one. Let me take this one. John Wayne.
Hello, Ron.
John Wayne.
Someone else, that's because he played for USC. That's why you like him so much. Of course, it was Richard Burton. All right.
Of course it was. I was about ready to say that. Gosh, she stole my thunder.
We knew that one.
I know. I knew Coach knew that one. Coach Ron Tunick, thank you again for joining us. You guys ready for our thoughts for the day? So Michael Scott from The Office said, "Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me." That's kind of cute.
All right.
And Joan Rivers, now you know who Joan Rivers was. Joan Rivers said, "You've reached middle age when you're cautioned to slow down by your doctor instead of by the police." Yeah, I think we can all kind of relate to that. Anyone, I'll be 65 next month. I don't feel 65, I mean, some of my bones feel 65, but most of me doesn't. And Coach, you're getting up there, but we love you for it.
I can't believe, Edward, you're 65 years old. Unbelievable.
I know. Well, you knew me when I was 49.
Yes, I knew you when you were a little baby boy.
A little baby boy at 49. All right, audience, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, military.
So long.